Well, here's one for you astrologers and skeptics alike, I suppose, but this is a pretty decent chart. It gives you a pretty good idea of what to look for when you're looking at a chart. And even though it's after the fact, it really holds a lot of water. This has some strength to it. It's a good chart. First of all, we look at Scorpio's rising. Well, Scorpio is a need to get out there, and its intensity, as we learned before, and it's a lot of times associated with overdoing things. Right off the bat, we see that Mars, the associate of Scorpio, is in the 5th house. The 5th house is the department of life where we look at things like ale houses, alcohol, entertainment, things like this. And right off the bat, we see that Mars is right on the cusp, right on the area of that. Very easy to see. And it's in the swilling sign of Pisces. More water, more imbibing. So right now, we take a strong look at the fact that here's a man who is involved in his excesses. The other part of that is, with the moon in the 1st house, says the same thing. It's more excess. And it's in the sign of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is unbounded. Moon is absolutely in a position that where its addiction occurs, it is going to show itself. What's interesting is that the 2nd house cusp, 11 degrees Sagittarius, is the midpoint between the moon and Jupiter. And that particular point is what we take in our life. It can be anything from money, food, income of any side. And this is just an income. And we can see that this excess is splitting between moon in Sag, heading towards Jupiter, more excess. So this chart really is pointing out to how the situation unfolds by reading it. The other thing is Leo, the 10th house up here, is generally somebody in a place of honor, power, or position, actors, and especially with Leo as an actor. And here we see the sign of Leo in the 10th house, and we see Saturn there, which is displaying its most detrimental form, which is kind of sad, because again, here this fits right on cue. The sign of Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun, here it is on the cusp of the angle of the 7th house, which is the viewing public. And there's Mercury right above it. So here we are, all get to see poor David Hasselhoff in a completely inebriated state, probably from excessive pain from whatever he's going through. But here we see a chart that really describes the description of the circumstance we're looking at. Scorpio rising, Mars in the 5th house of ale houses, fun with alcohol, and it's right on the line, right on the cusp. The moon and Jupiter are excess, and they're in the 1st house, 2nd house, which is intake, right on that cusp line, the midpoint at 11 Sag. The worst of the planet Saturn is in the 10th house, the prestige and honor, which is completely debilitating. And of course, looking at that video, we do see exactly that. Poor David is in a complete debilitated state through inebriation. And there we see the sun on the descendant, showing it to the world so they can all take a look at this poor man in this state of condition. This is a good chart. It has a lot of power. It shows basically how to read a chart for those of you who are learning astrology through my lectures on this YouTube. This is good. Look at this, take a copy of it, even if you have to do it by hand, and study what I have to say with this one. A lot of information.